All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are doing a technical deep dive on Odyssey Stealer. This is a really sophisticated piece of malware that's hitting macOS users hard. And look, it's not just another data grabber. This thing is specifically designed to drain cryptocurrency wallets, and its most dangerous trick is one that actually targets the most careful users among us.
So let's start with the sheer scale of this thing. You see this number, 203? That's how many different browser-based crypto wallet extensions Odyssey is built to compromise. We're talking about all the big ones: MetaMask, Phantom, the Coinbase wallet. It's casting an incredibly wide net.
And it doesn't just stop in your browser. No, Odyssey also goes after 18 different desktop wallet applications. You know, things like Exodus, Electrum, Atomic Wallet, even Bitcoin Core. The bottom line is, if you're holding crypto on your Mac, this malware is definitely looking for it.
But you know, as alarming as all that is, that's not even the main event. Odyssey's most dangerous weapon, its signature move, is its ability to silently remove the official apps for your hardware wallets, I'm talking Ledger Live, Trezor Suite, and then replace them with perfect pixel-for-pixel fakes.
So, how does a threat like this operate at such a scale? Well, to understand that, you've got to look at its business model. This isn't some lone hacker in a basement. It's a full-blown criminal enterprise.
You see, it runs on what's called a Malware-as-a-Service, or MaaS model. It's pretty simple, really. A central team of developers builds and maintains everything: the malware, the servers, the dashboards. Then they just rent out access to other criminals, called affiliates, who handle the dirty work of distributing it.
And look, this isn't just a theory. We've got the receipts. This is the actual advertisement from a Russian-language cybercrime forum. The developer, who goes by Rodrigo4, is offering access for $3,000 a month. And get this, it's limited to just 15 affiliates. They're trying to create an exclusive club. He even clarifies, MaaS, everything is hosted by us, making it a turnkey operation.
And for that monthly fee, this is what the affiliates get: a super polished, professional, React-based dashboard. It's basically a command center for crime. They can track their victims, sort through all the stolen data, passwords, cookies, and, of course, crypto wallets. It's cybercrime in a box.
Now, Odyssey didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It has a history. It actually evolved from other notorious malware. The developer, Rodrigo4, was originally a part of the team behind the infamous Atomic macOS Stealer. He then apparently took the source code, forked it, and launched his own competitor called Poseidon Stealer. After selling that platform, the new owners just rebranded it into the Odyssey Stealer that we're dealing with today.
Okay, so we know the business model and the backstory. Now let's get our hands dirty and unpack the exact mechanics of an infection, from that very first click all the way to a full system compromise.
This diagram right here shows the entire playbook. It all kicks off with a clever social engineering trick. Then it moves to stealing data and replacing apps, and it finishes by planting a backdoor for long-term control. So let's break down each stage.
So here's how it goes down in 4 basic steps. First, the infection starts when a victim is tricked into running a disguised AppleScript. Second, a fake system dialog box pops up to steal the user's password. Third, with that password, the malware goes to town, grabbing everything it can: wallets, keychain data, and phones it all home to the C2 server. And finally, it sets up what's called a LaunchDaemon to make sure it runs again every time the computer reboots.
Now, this is the social engineering linchpin. The malware pops up a dialog with this exact text. It's carefully crafted to look just like a legitimate request from macOS. You know, the kind of thing you've seen 100 times when installing real software. And that's why it works. It completely lowers your guard.
And here it is in action. This seemingly innocent little prompt is the skeleton key to the entire kingdom. The moment a user types their password in here, it's game over. The malware gets admin rights. It can now unlock the keychain, decrypt saved passwords, and, most importantly, it can delete and install applications without asking for permission ever again.
And that brings us to the most unique, the most devious part of the entire Odyssey attack: how it goes after the security of people who are using hardware wallets.
So what's really the difference between the real app and the fake one? Well, the real Ledger Live app is a complex piece of software officially signed by the company. Odyssey's version, it's just an empty shell. It's basically a tiny custom web browser whose only job is to load the attacker's phishing website and make it look like the real deal.
And here's the smoking gun. If you actually inspect the code signature of this Trojanized app, macOS tells you, flat out,
Signature is ad hoc. What that means is it wasn't signed by a trusted developer like Ledger. This is the critical warning, the red flag, but it's a warning that almost nobody knows how to check for.
The whole replacement process is brutally efficient. Once it has your password, the malware force quits the real application. Then, it uses its new admin privileges to permanently delete the original app right off your system. And finally, it just unzips and installs its own imposter right where the original used to be. Okay, let's switch hats now. For all the defenders out there, if you think you're infected, what do you actually look for? Let's run through the specific digital footprints, or indicators of compromise, that Odyssey leaves behind.
On the network side, you need to be monitoring for any traffic headed to its known command and control domains, especially those ending in .at. Stolen data gets sent out in post request to a /log path, and its remote control functionality is managed through an API endpoint. Blocking these can cut the malware off from its masters.
And on the infected machine itself, the persistence is handled by a .plis file in the LaunchDaemons directory, usually with a random 5-digit name. The malware also creates hidden config files in the user's home folder. And you won't believe this. It creates a file that stores the stolen user password in plain text. Yes, really.
So, with a threat this sophisticated, how do you actually defend yourself? Well, here's a clear, actionable playbook you can use.
First, and this is the big one, learn how to verify application signatures, especially for high-value apps like crypto wallets. Second, block all those known network IOCs at your firewall. Third, you've got to train yourself and your users to be extremely skeptical of any weird, out-of-place password prompts. And finally, use endpoint monitoring to watch for the exact chain of commands used in the attack, like AppleScript being used to kill and remove trusted applications.
And this really gets right to the heart of the psychological trick here. The malware isn't trying to fool your operating system, it's trying to fool you. The attackers know the fake app isn't signed properly. They are betting that because you already trust that icon and that name on your desktop, you're just going to ignore any warnings and click through anyway.
And this leaves us with a pretty fundamental question. We all operate on the assumption that the apps on our machine are what they say they are. But if they can be seamlessly swapped out from malicious clones, well, it forces us to completely reconsider what digital trust actually means. How can you ever be sure that the trusted application you opened yesterday is the exact same one you're opening today?